y-intercept. So a fourth exam style question that they can ask in relation to this sketch is they could easily ask us to get the angle of inclination of PQ. So the one question that may come to mind is, do they mean that portion of PQ or that portion of PQ? Now your angle of inclination, you always want to calculate it from the left, as in the left side of your x-axis. So you see our angle of inclination here, it is going to be that portion there with the x there. So that's the portion that we need to work out if they're asking for the angle of inclination of the line PQ. So we said you want to calculate this angle, or you want to get an idea of what angle they're referring to by thinking of your line starting from being at the x-axis and then rotating a certain number of degrees until it is in this manner. So the angle there is what we need to work out. Now the good news is, to work out the angle where PQ is, firstly we need our angle of inclination formula. So you see I've written there M as in the gradient of PQ. MPQ is equal to 10 PDX. So we said we want to get the angle there. Let me actually put a dot there so that the x is not confusing. So the reason I have chosen to label it PDX, it is because we have P here, we have D here, and we have the x-axis running, horizontally there. So the easiest way to label this angle there is just PDX. So after having to have done that, we can see that if we're going to get that angle there, we need the gradient of the line PQ first, of which the gradient of that line, we can just use our gradient equation. There we go. Our gradient of that line is just a -1/4. So the moment we have that gradient, we can throw that in this equation and then get the angle PDX. Doing that, so the one thing that is obviously funny about this answer is, firstly, it's a negative angle. Secondly, it is a number that is not an obtuse angle. We need to get this obtuse angle here. So what you want to take note of is, anytime that you are working with this inclination formula, always pay attention to the answer that you get at the end. And then the moment you have an answer at the end, logically speaking, all you want to do is, if you see that you are getting a value that is a negative, firstly, and you see that your value is also not an obtuse angle, all you want to do to yourself, or all you want to do for yourself in a situation like this one, is to remove that value from 180 degrees, because clearly we have two angles on a straight line here. So if you do use your angle of inclination formula, keep in mind that obviously this is one line, and then the angles there between your line and your x-axis, you have two of them. So if you get a value that is a negative, always take it as a positive, because an angle cannot be a negative in our case. And then also always remember that if you're looking for this obtuse angle there, as is what our question wants us to get, we need to have an obtuse angle as our final answer there, as in our angle needs to be bigger than 90 and it needs to be smaller than 180 degrees. So for a question like this one, this is all that you needed to do there.